What is going on, guys? Welcome to a very special episode of the Talkin TV podcast. That's right. This is not part of any of our regularly scheduled content. It's not a Lost recap. It's not a movie review. It's not an Actor Hall of Fame. We are here for yet another celebrity interview. Man, I'm killing it with those this year. Just to toot my own horn, just to pat myself on the back a little bit. I interviewed Cass Anvar earlier this year at Toronto International Film Festival, and there was a lot more good that came out of that festival than I realized, in the sense of where next thing you know, I'm like getting emails left and right from all of these talent agents that are like, hey, do you want to interview like these people that worked on this movie? And I'm like, sure, absolutely. And of course, we're committing to way too much, but I'm glad that I committed to this one. I'm glad to have you here. I'm joined by Kristen Kopp, who is the costume designer on the most recently released indie film, literally from the distributed by the company Independent Film Company. I thought that was just a cool little like inside baseball reference there, called Violent Ends. This movie is directed and written by John Michael Powell, and it stars Billy Magnuson, James Badgedale, Kate Burton, Ray McKinnon, Nick Stahl, and Alexandra Shipp. This is a movie that was released direct to VOD and streaming, I guess you could say, on October 31st, but I highly recommend it if you guys like low-key crime movies, if you guys like, you know, set in like kind of more of the rural rinky-dink parts of the country that feel a little bit isolated but still are able to make the products feel just as grounded, just as visceral, just as violent, just as humane, if you will. This is definitely the movie for you. Kristen, thank you so much for joining me.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, yeah, like I said, I'm a little bit of a motor mouth with chatterbox here. Before we get into this, I just wanted to know kind of what your background was, how you ended up getting into the industry, and kind of how, you know, what eventually propelled you to joining, becoming a part of this film.
Yeah, I've only ever been a costume designer. I studied it in undergrad at USC, and then I got my master's in it at NYU. I've assisted on a lot of pretty big films, and then just kind of coming into designing. And Christian and I have worked together a few times together. And so I think he gave John Michael my name for this, and I read the script and I was just like, loved it.
Oh,
John
awesome.
Michael's an excellent writer, so right on the page. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, so you and Christian have known each other for a long time then.
Yeah, I think like before I could drink alcohol.
Oh, wow. That's going back. That's going back a long ways. Yeah. So what are we talking? Like late 90s, early 2000s is what we're looking at?
Yeah, I think like 2007 or something like that around then. Yeah.
Just to put this in perspective, I still remember like watching the first Transformers movie when the Michael Bay one, when that came out. I was 10 years old and thought it was the greatest movie ever made. Understandably so. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this movie. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, yeah, so you said Christian gave you the script and you read it and you were just immediately like, yes, go, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you could just tell, right? It was just one of those scripts, you read it and you're just like, oh yeah, I want it.
Yeah, I mean, John Michael is such a good writer, and I told him, I was like, I mean, it was very specific. He wanted it to be in Arkansas, set in 93. But I was like, you could do this story anytime. It's really, Christian's gonna come on.
Oh, awesome. Perfect. Cool. All right.
Sorry.
We'll bring him on. No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fantastic script. It's really great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's actually that was also kind of one of the things that I noticed the most about this when I first watched it, was the fact that I was about like halfway through the movies. This isn't a very long movie either. It's like an hour 52 runtime total, but I think that extra like 10 minutes is just credits. I think it like tops out at like hour 47 without credits. And almost like halfway through the movie, I forgot that this was a period piece. Like, because I was just like so invested in it. It's like, yeah, because this could, I will say I've never been to Arkansas, but after having seen like a ton of different stuff that's been filmed in and around like all those different parts, those like kind of very rural feeling parts of the country, it is there's kind of a quaintness and a timelessness to that area where you could watch a movie that's set in like the 1800s, that's set in the modern day. And I mean, modern day is a little bit of a dead giveaway because of smartphones, but for the most part, like just any kind of a story I feel like that takes place in that area has a very certain timeless quality to it, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, and I mean, I think the story lends itself to a timeless quality, and the actors are all very malleable. You know, I don't think you like necessarily pin them in any time period. And yeah, I think it will help like the story be accessible years from now, that it's just kind of like not overly pinned in one point or another.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was just I kind of was amazed at how what's the word I'm looking for here? At how kind of visceral is the word that I use to describe it, where the movie kind of starts and it's got this very kind of it's doing that thing where it's giving you a lot of text and it's filling you in on a lot of backstory and it kind of just kind of getting a lot of the exposition out of the way, which is actually so it's a criticism that I've had towards movies in the past. And now, obviously, as we're in kind of this new digital age where, you have to get a certain amount of information out to the audience before they inevitably kind of, okay, like what's the point at which they're going to get bored? What's the point where we have to like flip the switch in order to keep them invested and ingrained in the story? And what I liked about that is how that was really just setting the tone. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the exposition kind of doesn't have too much to do with the rest of the movie because ultimately it is a movie that is yet again it's a different iteration of a story of an idea that we've seen many times before, and that crime ultimately doesn't pay. But I like how this one it kind of goes a step further and really shows that just there is no good ending for anybody. The story it's ultimately about a family that gets just torn apart because of their endless pursuit of kind of how these three brothers have essentially taken over all of the different drug operations in this one area, and ultimately how these micro beefs that have developed amongst people who are related, they have the same last name, but so really that's what makes kind of the events that happen here even more sad. I want to talk about you for a second though, going back. So like obviously I have anybody who watches movies and anybody who's on the internet, they have this idea of what people in the various different departments do. But I want to hear like from you, like what does your day look like from like the minute that you get to set to when you wrap? Like what does a day in the life of a costume designer head look like?
I mean, it can be pretty intense. It was fun being in Arkansas. So yeah, start the day on set most of the time if it's we're establishing a new costume. And we did have a lot of costume changes, so I was on set quite a bit. I had a really small department on this. It was me and two other people.
Oh wow.
So I was doing a lot in this, but I mean, I'm comfortable. This is, like I said, this is all I've ever done, so I know very much how our departments work, all
Yeah.
of the nooks and crannies. But yeah, start on set, get everyone onto set, make sure the actors are right, make sure I'm happy with it, make sure John Michael's happy with it, and sometimes you tweak, sometimes you change something, you change a call, it's like easier for me to change something than Christian. So if there's something that like we hadn't communicated about beforehand, like those adjustments are made kind of on the fly on set. Definitely can happen.
Yeah.
And then I might have another fitting. Once we start shooting, I do a lot of trailer fittings, like fittings on set
Yeah.
if I need to be fitting and be going to set at the same time. If possible, go to the office for fittings, but it just doesn't always happen. And then just keep sourcing, sourcing clothes, working with people who are working on alterations. On this, I was dyeing all my own clothes, so it
Oh
was,
wow.
yeah.
Yes, you were really going all out for this. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty crazy. You were really putting in the extra effort there. Well, speaking of department heads, Christian has joined us. Christian, happy to have you here, man. Glad you're able to make it.
Hey, how's it going?
It's
Can you hear me?
going. Happy to have you here.
Let me turn my camera on. There we go.
Yes, there we go. Perfect. Let me just get that set up. And I got a nice little overlay that I designed for us. Perfect. Let me get that there. And perfect. Now we're going. Now we're getting set. So Kristen kind of already gave me the intro, the once over kind of. And I was actually just telling her like really how impressed I was with the work that you guys did on this movie. I really, really, really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I mean, just a title like Violent Ends already. You already know you're in for a crazy movie. So as I was just talking to Kristen here, just tell me a little bit kind of about yourself and how you ended up getting involved in the project.
I knew a producer that I'd worked with years ago, and he knew Vincent, the producer on this. And so the other producer recommended me, and I was glad he did. He kind of cold called me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know this other producer," and so he told me about the story, and I was like, "You guys don't have enough money," and they're like, "But here, just give it a chance." And I said, "Okay, sure." So I looked at the script. And then I looked at the locations they'd already scanned, and I was like, I think we can make this work. And I loved the way that was attached to it. So it was and I really loved how professional and experienced the producers and Don Michael was, and that's rare on these indie films, unfortunately. But for this project, fortunately, it was really great to work with people. Like, they knew what they were asking of us, but we knew it was going to be worth it because we knew they were going to really put together a beautiful project. So we I jumped on board, and then I was like, "Do you guys have a costume designer? We need to hire Chris, because Christine and I have worked together for, I don't know, at least 4 films." So it kind of was a little dream team we put together and did what we could. So
yeah, and I mean, it shows the work, the effort, I should say, it really shows in the final product, because yeah, this was, like I said, I was making the joke, obviously, that that this was distributed by a company literally called Independent Film Company, and honestly, like, this was like on par with like a bunch of movies that I had seen like in theaters recently this year. Like, it's funny because I don't know if you guys saw that the Sydney Sweeney and Paul Walter Hauser movie that came out in August called Americana, the Tony Toast movie. This movie kind of gave me similar vibes to that. Not exactly the same. That was a little bit different. That was more so based in like the ensemble nature and like how like a series of characters all end up getting involved in this MacGuffin hunt. This was a much more straightforward kind of crime thriller. But it really, really impressed me how, for something that, like you were saying, you could tell that this was like a very, very small budget, you know, limited number of sets, limited number of productions. Like, you guys were really putting the work in where it counted, and like it really paid off, I think.
yeah, I mean, that's it. It's, you know, I heard this designer I worked for years ago, $75 or give me, you know, $200,000, and I'll make sure it's not tacky. And I thought that was the best quote. It's like, you know, this is what we have to work with. Let's just make sure it looks good with what we have. Make sure we don't compromise.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's ultimately what it's about. It's about making it look good ultimately. And so this is a question that I'm going to pose to both of you guys as well, which is that obviously you two have worked on indie film for a long time. And kind of and Christian, like what you were saying before, as far as you know, this being one of the better projects. We hear a lot of talk, right, about like what qualifies as indie film today in the industry. You know, obviously, you know, like you have the heavyweights of A24 and Neon, but I guess kind of where I want to go with that is like, how is it that people are still kind of able to go about and make indie film and make it, like, I guess, seen, given everything that is, you know, I'm just going to cut straight to the chase, given everything that's happening in the industry right now, everything that's happened in the last couple of years post-COVID, you know, in terms of just making it so that we're still kind of able to make films for the love of the game and not to like kind of satisfy a studio mandated quota or to, you know, or because, oh, this IP is really popular, let's try and get that fast track. Like, how do we, I guess, how is it that, I know I'm getting all loosey-goosey here, but how is it essentially that you guys are kind of able to keep the joy of like filmmaking for filmmaking's sake alive, if you will?
Both of us love working on movies. Like, we always talk about that. We just love working on movies. So, and then when you get a good script, I mean, good script and then good people on top of it. It was kind of great. Which does, like Christian says, it doesn't always happen with all of that, but there were just a lot of special things. And the script is like the biggest thing. If you don't have a good script, I don't think you're ever going to make a good movie from it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, these last couple of years have weeded out a lot of the people that kind of got into this industry because it was quick money. There was when the streamers all started making content, you know, during COVID and before COVID, and we all saw these streaming wars, and a lot of people kind of fell into this industry wherever there was incentives all over the place, and we had the industry got oversaturated. I mean, my union doubled in size, and then these last 2 years have been a massive drawback or a reset, we'll say, and the people that are left are the ones that do this because we love it. You know, we've done it for years, and I think that's a good thing. And now I feel like those that have stuck it out are going to fight and continue to network, continue to grow, and continue to, you know, figure out how we all fit in the current environment of the film industry.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. I honestly, I didn't even think about that because obviously I was telling Kristen this before. I live in New York City, at Bedside specifically. I've been here for about 3, almost 4 years now. And so the first summer that I was here was summer of 2023 when all the strikes were happening. And the biggest thing that obviously we heard once the deals were finalized is, oh, this is going to like reduce the number of shows and just in general products that are being made. This is going to cut down jobs, blah, blah, blah. But that's so interesting. I didn't really even think about that word because you're right, obviously, because the whole kind of streaming wars and everything that was when all that was going down, that was when I was in college. But you're right. I do remember there just seeming like there was almost too many projects for people to really keep up with and watch. And and how they obviously, you know, the biggest kind of argument coming out is that there's over like 500 scripted TV shows, something insane coming out. And it's like, how is it that people possibly have time to watch all that? But that's a really interesting point that you brought up, where it's like, yeah, it's weeded out a lot of the people who just got in it for quick, easy money. And the people that are left are the people who are actually doing it because they care. And that actually, it does make me feel a little bit better in terms of like, okay, so we can still get good quality work from good quality people who actually do care about the stories that they're telling, and not just people who are just in it for who are in it for financial and for ego-driven reasons, which unfortunately I find happens to be more people than I think we'd all like to admit. I mean, again, you guys have been working at this for a long time, so you guys probably have way more horror stories that you could probably tell. But I'll bringing it back to this movie. So what's kind of, to start off with, what's just like one like really memorable day, one really memorable like fun time, like what's a really good memory that you have from like the making of this movie?
Christian, do you want to go? I'm trying to think.
You know, there was a couple of locations I really enjoyed. One was the junkyard.
Yeah.
That was originally scripted as a woodworking shop, like a mill that they made wood trim for houses. And I'm like, okay, so if there's a safe in this mill that has a bunch of money in it, where else would be believable? Because they actually fell off. The location kind of didn't work out. So I was like, what other locations are going to be visually interesting? Tell us what time period we're in. And well, they got a safe filled with cash. And so I started scoring I talked to John Michael. I was like, how do you feel if I find that works?
Christian, you're cutting in and out there, just so you know. Yeah, no, it's what's it called here? Well, I'll go over to Chris and then I'll come back to you to finish that story, because it sounded really interesting. Like, it did sound really interesting. I did want to hear the rest of it, but Chris, what's a really memorable day that you remember from on set?
Well, talking about the junkyard, that was memorable in a way. So I had talked with all the actors and we had agreed to, you know, like the socioeconomic standing of a lot of these actors is they're very poor and don't have a lot of money.
Right.
And so we had just talked about kind of like making these masks but kind of keeping them in like their own neutral clothes.
Right.
Because that was what they would do for the robbery. Mm-hmm. And they got to set and John Michael was like, what is this? And so we had to on the fly, I found all those coveralls and we made these masks out of towels, hand towels, in like an hour. I don't even know how we did it. My amazing team helped so much and we just got it done. And John Michael was so happy once we changed it, but it was very unexpected. And some of the actors didn't agree with that choice, but then they eventually did, and it was a very energetic day on set.
Yeah.
But it was fun, you know, and like even though that's what I was talking about, you make those changes on the fly and last minute sometimes. But that's also like the fun part of it and like the puzzle of it all and like the problem solving. So yeah, but that was a little crazy.
Yeah, I mean, for that sequence and the way that it went too, it's like yeesh, because I mean that's the sequence that sets off the movie. That's where it started. So that was
and it was good. I mean, of course, like that's why John Michael is so great and like such a good director. And I think you need that ambiguity in that scene. And if we had like touched on any of the characters, it might have like pulled you out of that moment a little bit. So it was definitely the right move, but yeah, it was a little crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Back over to you, Christian. Sorry, what were you saying before you cut out there?
Oh, I apologize. So, yeah, it's we found this guy who owned this junkyard that had inherited it from his dad, and he was such a character, but he basically we stripped away a layer of new cars, and underneath that layer of new cars was all these period cars. So we didn't have hardly any money, so I was like, how do I make this work? So anyway, all these old cars, he moved a bunch of cars around for us, and bingo, moved a couple of cars in the shop, and bingo, we had a period junkyard. It was great.
Perfect. I mean, it looked it too. Like, and it's funny because that was the other thing too that I was talking to Kristen as well before you joined in, is that there's something really unique about that area specifically of the country and filming there, about how, even though, like I said, this movie takes place in 92, 93, something like that. And about like halfway through the movie, I completely forgot that I was watching a period piece. Like somebody mentioned something in the movie. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a period piece, because like it feels so timeless ultimately. Like I said, it was like you could set a movie there that like took place in like the 1800s, that takes place in like the 1900s, in like the early 90s, and like even today, like I don't know if you guys saw that show, The Lowdown, the Ethan Hawke, Sterling Harjo show that came out over the summer. But so that one takes place in Oklahoma, but again, very so different parts slightly, but like very, very similar vibes in the sense of where, again, like aside from the smartphones, and obviously, you know, some of the more modern way that they dress, it still does have like a very, very timeless story element to it. So you can kind of continue to sort of tell those stories in that area. And I feel like too, you're seeing more movies start to like dive into that. I mean, look, obviously, again, this is a major, major period piece and it's a massive budget movie, but I mean, look at Sinners, that taking place, and the specifically that location is so specific and unique to that story, being about the Mississippi Delta, in the 1930s, about kind of the origin of the blues, if you will. I wanted to talk about the actors as well, because I was telling Kristen as well. I'm like, oh man, like this is these are my guys right here. I'm like, you got Billy Magnuson, who I love and everything that he's in. Ray McKinnon, who is just, again, character actor to the team, but every time he shows up in something, I'm like, oh, he's gonna be the best part of everything that he's in. James Badge, it's so funny because my relationship with James Badge Dale goes all the way back to, I want to say it was Flight, with Denzel Washington, was like the first thing that I saw him in. He's only in that movie for one scene. For one scene, he's like a cancer patient that Denzel and Kelly Riley, who plays Beth in Yellowstone, run into in the hospital. And he's just in it for one scene, and he steals it from both of them. And then I saw him in Departed, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but in Departed, he's the dude who shoots DiCaprio at the end. Spoiler if you haven't seen Departed, but the whole big twist at the end is that, oh, this dude that's been Matt Damon's number 2 the whole time was actually also an informant for Costello. So you have that. And then he is just, again, it's what I call, I don't know if you guys listen to this podcast, the Rewatchables from the Ringer Podcast Network, but they have a term that they invented for their podcast called That Guy, which I think is one of the most brilliant terms ever invented in terms of like kind of describing character acting. Because I'm like, you've seen their face, you will never know their names, but you have seen their face in a million things. So every time you see them, you're like, oh, that guy. So, and that is exactly kind of what makes this movie. It's a movie full of that guys. And so James Badge Dale, and he is just, oh man, you can tell the minute that he comes into this movie, once he walks out of the jail, he is a force to be reckoned with. So I just wanted to like talk to you guys and get your perspectives on like the cast, like how much time you spent with them, how much choices you made, whether you were witness to kind of the choices they made, seeing John Michael direct them, like just any like fun stories as far as that goes.
I mean, Kristen spent more time with them than I did. I was on set.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Badge was like, I wanted him in, so the trousers I had him wear.
Yeah. Oh man,
very tight.
everything about him was like just distinct and tight. I'm like, this is not a dude that you want to mess with at all.
Yeah,
like at all.
He was awesome though. I was like, I put him in these really tight trousers. It's like a Western trouser. You can find them at Western stores, and they're tight, and they're much tighter than men are used to wearing their pants. But he was all game, and he was awesome. And like, you know, that scene when he's running for the kill, like, he just like embodied everything I put him in. He was fantastic. All the actors are so good. I mean, you could almost put them in anything and they do their role, you know, and they were like all really great to work with. And a lot of them came in kind of last minute. So it was just kind of like we had to work quickly and make decisions really fast. But it's like, yeah, they were great. Yeah, and Badge was so much fun because he just kind of like let me go with this kind of like the black hat cowboy. And he let me like indulge in that. But it was awesome, and he totally pulls it off. It's
funny because the way that his character works, I'm like, oh, he's got a little. I mean, he's not to like the level of sophistication, but I mean, Oh man, like there was a little bit of sugar from No Country for Old Men in there as well. Like, oh man, like that was just the way that like you could tell, like, oh, when he locks onto a target, he is not stopping until he has accomplished his mission. And like that scene that you were talking about, right, where like he kills the two other guys, and then I'm like, oh no, what about the kid in the truck? And then he walks outside, the kid sees him, he sees the kid, he starts running. I'm like, oh no, like because you know what's gonna. It's one of those things where you know what's gonna happen, but you don't want it to happen, but then it does happen, and you're like, oh no. And like also like just I don't think I've ever seen I mean seeing people getting shivved on screen is always like just really disturbing and bloody to watch. Like I'm forever like the scene from the, you know, you guys know the sequence in Breaking Bad where the 8 people get shivved in all the different prisons simultaneously at once. And I think this is, I'm like, yeah, I think we have a new I think we have a scene to top that in terms of like most disturbing shivving scene that I've seen recently, because oh my god, like just the tenacity and the focus that he had, I'm like, this is disturbing on a lot of different levels. But it worked. It works for what's it called? It works for the movie as well. Christian, back over to you. So I was talking to Kristen a little bit before kind of about what her job specifically entails. I wanted to get now your take or sorry, your kind of corner of that sphere as well. So obviously, you know, as we are the internet culture, everybody is online, everybody watches movies, everybody thinks that they know a lot about movies. Part of why I started this podcast is because I kind of want to, like, you know, break down the illusions, if you will. So what does your day look like in terms of from when you get to set versus once you're done? Or maybe differently, since you from what you were said, from what you made it sound like, it's you do a lot of the location scouting and such as well.
It depends on the film size and how big of a crew I have. You know, I'm sure Kristen can say the same thing. You know, on this one, I had a small crew. It was me, a decorator, a lead man, and a couple of swing. And it was the decorator, Chase Wilson, who was fabulous. I've worked with him before on a movie called The Blind that Kristen was on as well. And then lead man, Ben. So it was really the 3 of us. So I was doing it all. And this one I was scouting. Luckily they had locked a bunch of locations before I got there. Some of them had changed up, like I said, the junkyard. So I said, okay, how can we improve upon these? So we improved upon it, and I went out and scouted and found those. While I had my decorators start shopping it like crazy. We had a warehouse space, so we just started filling with stuff. On a film this size, this period, I just buy everything. Unless it's like we're renting from like a local shop and we give it back to them at the end. We just buy. It's cheaper, honestly, than a prop house when you're in the middle of nowhere. And we just get all the stuff, we put it in. I know kind of roughly, we knew what our houses were, and those are our big dresses. And then I let my decorator, his lead, and their crew kind of go ahead and pre-dress the sets. And if I need to come in and do some adjustments, I make sure I do that before camera gets there. Just go put eyes on it before camera gets there, and do any tweaks or anything like that. But I mean, it's fast. On a show like this, we are just turning locations as fast as we can, and we had such a small crew to do it. So, you know, I try to find places that are at least like, I like the paint and the wallpaper and all that kind of stuff, because I don't have time really to do that. On the main house, the White House, we did, I wallpapered the hallways, I wallpapered the kitchen, you know, went really kind of country vibe with it, like 90s, because they were just white. Decorated out the porch. We added a lot to that house because it was really kind of boring, honestly. So just gave it a lot of texture, a lot of practical lights. I used lots and lots of lamps. That's kind of like the secret. It's like on a film like this where you know the camera guy, you know, lighting, the gaffer doesn't have a lot of resources anyway. I try to practically light every single set. And then the cameras nowadays are so awesome that they can pretty much adjust to pick up whatever they need to with whatever light density they have. So, you know, even the racetrack, we ran string lights kind of to practically light the place. So we do what we can to make sure the camera can keep moving and the film crew can keep going quickly. They don't have to wait on the gaffer to light, and then the gaffer will just come in and kind of tweak stuff. But yeah, that's what it looks like. It's a blur, is what it looks like. It is just laying out, you know, your sets, trying to figure out your schedule, and then making sure that your schedule is doable with the amount of people you have. Go to the first AD, see if we need to tweak or flip locations, if it's possible to do that, and then we go. I have a quick story, by the way, going back to Billy, if you want to hear it.
Yes, please do. I want to hear. I want to hear it all.
So Billy, they're at the White House, his brother's house. It was one of the earlier days we were there, and there's a scene where he's chopping wood in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And I've worked with a lot of actors over the years, and you hand them an axe, and you kind of have to give them instructions because a lot of actors don't know how to swing an axe.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, Billy, here's an axe. Like, here's the wood. I pre-split some of it for them. Like, you just really make it as easy as possible. Billy's like, I got this. And I was like, oh, okay. And I gave him the axe, 2 swings, and I was like, oh wow, you just earned my respect, hardcore. We're gonna drink
Oh,
later.
nice. That's the best feeling when an actor like actually knows how to do the thing that you're like already mentally preparing yourself to explain to them how to do.
Yes, 2 swings and the axe head flew off. I had to run to the barn with the prop master, find a fiberglass handled axe, and bring that back. And he just went to town. I kept loading up. The prop master kept handing him chunks of wood. He just obliterated piece after piece. And I was like, wow, Billy knows how to swing an axe. It was so impressive. And that scene
feeling,
was
right?
he got into it, like the emotion of that scene too. Like on top of not just like
that's another really intense scene too.
He just went there and just kept going and going. I was like, oh wow, this guy is a killer actor. Like he just totally earned my respect that day.
Yeah.
So
Billy has definitely surprised me over the years because he was the guy who for the longest time was just an old, like, he's like, he owned that shtick of like, I'm the dumb guy in comedy. To the point where they actually made like some pretty good use of that movie Game Night that he was in with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams, which was a killer movie. But the last couple of years, he's been doing a little bit more of a turn towards dramatic work. And it just really, it always impresses me every time I see him. I'm like, oh, this dude can act. Like this dude can really like put his money where his mouth is in a way that very, very few people I feel like really can. So I'm going to throw off 3 different things that this reminded me of, because every time I go into any new project, this is just automatically where my brain goes. I'm like, okay, so what is this going to remind me of the most? And the 3 things that immediately came to mind, I was telling Kristen this before. Justified, number 1, easily, only this being way more visceral and, if I'm being honest, depressing in tone versus Justified, which is a straight up farce at certain points. That's part of why we love it. Ozark. That one was more so just a little bit location-based, I feel like, but also because I feel like Ozark was kind of the beginning of a lot of in the streaming era, I should say, of a lot of projects that are being filmed, like, you know, a lot of those more rural areas in the South, your Arkansas, your Mississippi's, your Alabama's, your obviously, you have the massive Disney office in Pinewood in Atlanta, but kind of all of those different kind of more off the beaten path rural areas that make for really, really interesting stories that I just wish people would utilize more often. And then the third thing too, and this more so relates to the story itself rather than the tone and vibes of it, but I was getting a lot of Tarantino from this. I was getting a lot of Tarantino in the sense of where, this is just where these are a bunch of characters who are ultimately trying to escape their circumstances that they have kind of been stuck in since birth. Because again, they state at the beginning of this movie that this is kind of a family lineage, a family legacy that at the beginning our main character, Billy's character, is ultimately trying to get out of, and then through events that ultimately prove to be, out of his control, ends up drawing him back in to kind of the family drama, if you will. And ultimately it's in the title, Violent Ends, how ultimately no good comes of it and they all end up killing each other and dying. So I just wanted to, obviously, again, like, you guys are focused on your specific jobs, your specific positions, but was there ever any point during the filmmaking process where you were kind of, and I don't know, maybe this is just a me thing because I subconsciously relate everything to everything, but was there a point where you were consciously thinking, like, this kind of reminds you of this, pulling this from that and such? Like, was there ever any point where your guys' heads were there?
I don't think in the making of it, but now that you're saying that about Tarantino, I think there ended up being this kind of like, oddly, even though it's like pretty grounded and like real and like rooted in that kind of like Arkansas blue collar thing, it gets a little graphic, like with the blood on Billy and what I mean?
Oh man.
Like it gets a little out of the, like, I don't know. So yeah, you saying that, it kind of like elevates to that a little bit and feels a little, graphic's the best way I can describe it. Kind of like simple colors and like very poignant. It's not like, and I'm just realizing that more and more the more I've watched it after they cut it and everything. But during filming, I wouldn't say that was a thought, really. It was always a thought. The one movie I did reference for, especially for Billy's character, was Badlands.
That was another one I was thinking of too.
Because I told John Michael, I went through, like, prep was super fast, so it was like designing these characters really fast, but I was like, I did a couple iterations of his character, maybe even before Billy was cast, and I was like, I think we need to keep this character very simple and like a blank slate, because, he does kind of like, you want to believe he's the good guy and he is the man in white and like the good cowboy. And so I wanted to like maintain that simplicity with him. But then, like how bloody it does get, it's kind of cool how it moves into this graphic world a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Christian, what about you?
Yeah, this was so fast. I mean, we jumped into this, and normally I'd watch movies around that period and kind of like do my research and dig into it, and I did a bit, but yeah, I fell back on a lot of kind of what I knew, which I try not to do. I try to, and I did my own research because you can't trust your own memory, even if you live through a period. Like, I mean, I was a teenager in the early '90s, so I knew people that lived in hollers and lived out, in very rural, very white areas of the country, and so you kind of fall back on them. But then you got to dig in and do your research and proof your own memories. Um, and it was kind of and that just it was like let's test my own memories and then kind of draw from that. And when it came to cars and stuff like that, I did my own research because you know on this type of budget, I'm not going to find police cruisers from that era. So I'm like, okay, I need to make my police cruiser. So I did some research, and I was like, oh, these Bronco 2, I can pick one of these up cheap and we can rattle can it and put the graphics on it and put light bar on it, and it works. And it's interesting. So yeah, you do as much as you need to make sure that, again, you don't compromise anywhere, but you can make something interesting and memorable.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love hearing just anything about people working on film. It just always it reminds me of why I love this art form and this medium in general. Yeah. So now this is a question that I kind of ask everybody. So we kind of touched on it a little bit before. It goes away from the movie a little bit, but I think it's still prevalent and relevant, obviously. So Christian, you were talking before about how you would say that the industry, kind of everything that's happened in the last couple of years, has rooted out kind of the people who were in it for the easy money and are just in it, and now people who are just in it for the art form. And I just wanted to know, in general, your guys' thoughts as far as kind of where I know this feels like an existential doom and gloom question consistently, especially with the way that people talk about it on the internet. But I just, as two people who are actively working in the industry, what are your guys' just thoughts in general as far as where it's going now that we're in kind of this weird post-streaming heyday? Netflix just officially announced that they were buying Warner Brothers. Like, things seem to be trending back towards like the whole thing where it's like, oh, there's 3 companies that are controlling everything. Like, what? Because I've talked to a lot of different people. Some people are still positive. A lot of people are still very negative, obviously, about where things are going. And I kind of just wanted to get a perspective from 2 people who are like kind of boots on the ground, actually, like, working people in the industry.
I mean, the thing I started doing this year is I just started hustling. I think it's very easy in this industry to become complacent and feel like, oh, I've made it. I've got enough contacts. People would just call me. And I refused that. And it's very easy to get pessimistic and be like, oh, my phone's not ringing. There's no work. And at the beginning of 2025, I just made a point to just be like, no, I'm going to hustle. I'm going to go out and keep meeting people. I'm going to keep on networking. I'm going to survive in this industry because I love this industry. And it's been great. I've had a decent year, and a lot of people can't say the same. And I think you have to adapt, and you have to adjust, you have to change, and how badly do you want it? How badly do you want it? And then I think you'll rise to the top. You can't be complacent and just work anymore. That's not the industry. And I think those people that are really negative about it, and I used to be one of them, are gonna end up just finding a different career.
Got it. Kristen, what's your take on that?
I mean, I think there's 2 things happening. I think, like you said, like, things are cyclical, and it's like, you break down the cable model and then we're coming right back to it. It's just, I think there's like that nature that just like things repeat themselves and go in these circles. And I think we needed a downtime. Like Christian was saying, it was very oversaturated during COVID, and we were kind of making a lot of stuff. I don't know the quality of a lot of stuff getting made.
I can tell you right now, as somebody who was watching as much of that stuff as I could while I was stuck at home on my couch during COVID as a fresh college grad, a lot of it was not that good.
Yeah. And I mean, it was like, it was so busy to the point that like people were kind of like, tarnishing their reputations a little bit, moving from one show to the next. And, it was just like you could work and work and work and work and work. And now it's not like that. But I think it's good. I think it's a reset. And then I think what's new in our industry is celebrity is a lot different than it used to be. And I think that changes things a lot. But I don't think it's going away. I just taught, I was a guest lecturer at a university at Colorado State University, and I taught film design there, costume design. And I asked them all, I was like, do you guys watch content? Because, it's like this whole idea that young kids aren't even watching TV, and all of them still watch TV and movies, all of them. And so it's like, I don't think people need stories. Like, people want stories. I don't think that's going to go away. It's just like, how has our life changed? And then also what is just kind of repeating itself in the cycle of our industry too. So
yeah, absolutely. No, it's that does make me very, very confident. It makes me happy, I guess I should say, because one of the horror stories that I dealt with while I was in college was the fact that literally I'm like, I would look around the room when the teachers would ask, like, oh, like, what movies have you guys watched recently? And I felt like half the time, half the class would be like, oh, we don't really watch movies. And I would just sit there like just gritting my teeth, being like, you guys are film majors. How the fuck do you not watch movies? It's literally like, it's the whole point of this major is to just watch movies. But that's what I realized. I'm like, oh, most of them are not here because they actually care about cinema or making movies. They are here just because to get an easy passing grade, which is, it's unfortunate, but at very least, once I figured that out, and Christian, that kind of goes back to your point as well. People will just go where they think it's easy. Now, here's a really interesting one because and this is one I don't think really gets talked about, and it's one that I just find very interesting, is the idea of work-life balance, right? Is something that's talked about a lot as well. Especially obviously in the post-COVID era. So, Kristen, you were talking about how it felt like during the COVID era with the oversaturation of content that you guys were just moving project to project to project. It just felt like there was no work, no downtime. Now that there are less projects being greenlit, now that there is kind of less content overall being made, have you guys noticed like kind of like a shift in kind of the workflow, if you will, or no? It's more so just like kind of become a little bit more manageable.
I mean, I just think there's always, when you work in the film industry, there's always ebbs and flows. Even when it's just because we're freelance, and we work on projects. So sometimes you're working, sometimes you're not. And I think you just have to learn what that means for you. For some people, it freaks them out and they just always need to be on something. For some people like me who love skiing in the mountains, like, I think it's just like where you can find, it's just personality, I think. And there's ebbs and flows no matter what when you're freelance. So
yeah,
just part of it.
Yeah. Christian, what about you?
I mean, same. I enjoy this industry because I have big chunks of time off, but I have a family as well, and there's definitely sacrifice because I'm, gone away from them for weeks, if not months at a time, and then, you got to come back and kind of find your place again in the family, and that's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, it's different, than a lot of people. A lot of people couldn't imagine doing it. I mean, they have to have their 9 to 5, and or even if they work in the industry, they have to stay in the city they're in. And I've got a very supportive wife who understands and gets it and knows that I love what I do. And I mean, if I didn't love what I do, I wouldn't do it because it's too much of a sacrifice, frankly.
Yeah.
But it's rare to be able to love what you do, and you just know that you got to figure out the balance. At this point, I'm trying to do a movie a year, and then fill in the rest of the time with commercials, just while my children are young. So I'm not just gone. I couldn't do just back-to-back films.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys, like if you're, just a swing or, a wardrobe, or costume or something like that, you don't make enough money that you do have to work nonstop, As a department head, hopefully you're making a little bit more money, that you have the flexibility that you can do that, So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're about 45 minutes right now. So I'm going to start the wrap up process right here. I usually like to end these things by asking my guests, typically, because like I said, we're all in this industry for a reason. We all love movies. I wanted to ask, what was the last thing that you guys watched? Last movie, it could be a movie, it could be a TV show, whatever. What was the last thing that you watched that you like really, really were like, yeah, this is why I do this for a living. This is why I absolutely love this.
Oh man. Well, I've watched it a million times, but I just rewatched it recently. Does that count?
Oh yeah, that counts. Like rewatches count. It doesn't have to be necessarily new.
Rewatched. I don't know why I love it so much, but I just rewatched Deadwood season 1, and I just love it.
Best. Oh man.
Oh my God. It's just like the dialogue and it's just so good. And they built that town, I think,
Yeah.
in Montana,
Yeah,
right?
they did. Yes,
Yeah,
they did.
it's awesome. It's just like I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's the best. Yeah, my friend and coworker who's been on the podcast with me a couple times. We have like our select set of shows that we will just like quote nonstop back and forth. It's like The Leftovers, The Wire, The Sopranos, and Deadwood are like the top four. And then It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Me or him will just drop a line and we'll just be going for the next hour to the point where we start getting people staring at us and like we don't care. Like we're just going.
Oh,
Going
and of course, One Battle.
Ah, of course. You have to. You have
I
to give it up for the
mean,
GOAT. I mean, took him almost 3 decades, but hey, he's finally going to win his Oscar this year. So that's what really
so
matters
good.
at the end of the day. Yeah, that was awesome. Christmas Adventurers Club. Just too many lines from that movie that are memorable here. Christian, what about you? What's one thing that you've seen recently or rewatched recently that just like remind you why you love this, what it is that you do?
I need to watch Deadwood. I've never watched Deadwood.
Oh,
Kristen,
you
I
gotta.
can't believe we never talked about this. I need to watch it. This is hard. I don't, 19. I watched the first season of 1923. I really, really enjoyed.
Okay.
But a lot of series, I don't watch a lot of series. I tend to watch more films. But yeah, that one I enjoyed because everything felt just right.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I'm trying to think of. There's a new series on Netflix. I feel like their content's got a lot better. I feel like they were just making content there for a minute, kind of figuring out. I feel like their stuff's really come up a notch. And I can't think of the name of it. There's a show that just came out on Netflix about this woman that she's basically traveling west with her son.
Oh wait, is that the new The Abandons? Is that the new the Kurt Sutter Western show? Is it that one?
She joins in with this Mormon group, and then the Mormons like kill their own people.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, with Lena Headey and Gillian Anderson, right? Or am I thinking of a different one?
Lena Headey's not in it. No.
Okay. I'm thinking of a different one then.
The woman from Glow. I can't think of her name. I don't know the name of the actress.
Oh, is it Betty Gilpin? Is that it? Or Alison Brie? Yeah, Betty Gilpin.
No, it's Betty. It's Betty. Yeah, the blonde.
Okay.
Yeah, she's in it, and she plays this woman that's traveling west by herself with her son, and it's really well done. I watched that like a couple weeks ago. That was really good. I can't think of the name of it though.
Let's see.
But
Netflix.
Easy enough to find on Netflix.
Is it it's not American Primeval, is it? Is that it?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. That's it. Yeah, that's what from Mark L. Smith, who was the it's from the screenwriter of The Revenant, and I know that Peter Berg directed that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that was one of the
my screenwriter of Revenant. That makes sense. It's raw but it's real. It's like, oh man, like I want to keep watching it. I'm like, I watched the first couple episodes. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that was I didn't get a chance to watch that yet. I've heard very, very good things about it, but that was textbook. Like I'm like, as soon as my dad sees this, he's gonna love it. And then like months after it came out, he texted me. He's like, "Have you watched the show yet?" I'm like, "There's the text that I was waiting for." So I had a feeling that was gonna happen. Well, Kristen, thank you guys so much for joining me. This was an absolute blast and a pleasure. It's any chance that I have to sit down with anybody who works on films. It's always just an absolute joy and a treat. So I always end the show by asking if you guys have any social media plugs or anything that where people can follow you, where they can if they have any questions, comments, or anything like that. Now is the time to plug them, as this is an internet show, and that is the part of the joy of the internet. So Kristen, we're going to start with you. Is there any place that you any social media plugs that you want to plug for the people?
I'm at Slow Crossing Vintage.
Slow Crossing Vintage across Instagram, and I'm assuming everything.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. And Christian, what about you? Any place that the good people can follow you?
Yeah, it's just Christian Snell on Instagram.
All right, awesome. Sounds good. Well, like I said, hopefully, like I said, this will not be the last time that we chat. This was really, really fun. I really got to give it up to you guys. This movie was really, really good. I was impressed with the work that you put in. It really, really panned out well. And for anybody who has not seen it yet, definitely go watch Violent Ends. It is available to rent on pretty much any place where you can rent your movies, if that is what you do. Let me just check here the different places that you can stream it. Available to stream on YouTube, Amazon Prime, PVOD, all the different places where you can go and stream and rent movies. I highly, highly recommend it. And you guys can follow me with everything going on at Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms, at Official Talkin TV Podcast across all platforms. Be sure to leave this a like and a subscribe if you are watching us on YouTube. If you are listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any place where you guys listen to the podcasts, just please give this a like. And as always, how I wrap up the show every time, 12 seasons is a short film, and watch more fucking movies. We will see you guys next time.